Welcome to the PowerCat Podcast, the original K-State sports show. Here's your host, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of the PowerCat Podcast. Fitz and Gills here to take your questions from Wabash Station. Our subscribers get to ask them. Everyone gets to listen to our answers. Asking's more fun, though. You know, it's always fun to ask, not just to receive answers, but sir, what's the meaning of life? Well, I don't know that answer, but it'd be fun if you asked that and I had an answer.
Be a good 2-minute drill for next week. Somebody asked that one.
Oh boy, that's going to take more than 2 minutes, though, Gills.
True.
I don't want to mess around today. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, baby.
Hold on. My computer just freaked out.
Maybe.
Banners. Okay, here we go. Hold on. I got to make this bigger because I'm blind. There. Was this season saved by great coaching recently or ruined by poor coaching early? I say both. But both. I don't think the coaches did a good job early. I really don't. I feel like the coaches had to find the right buttons to push with this team, and apparently they've gotten it there now, Gills. I think that's really what this is about. They weren't on the same page as their team, as their players, as what was going on in the locker room. And I don't think the players were on the same page with each other. And I think they went into that first bye week and said, we got to figure this out. And they did. Not immediately, but you've seen the confidence grow and the investment in the games grow. Can it continue to manifest itself? Gills, I don't know. They're going to need to even be better than last week, this week, if they want to win this game. I know that. I'm going to say the coaches have done an incredible job if they win Saturday. Other than that, so far, in all honesty, despite what I said on today's DD about the great job the coaches have done, we're on, I guess it was Tuesday's daily delivery, they have, but this question cuts to the very heart of it. The car broke down and they fixed it. They shouldn't have let it break down in the first place, but they fixed it. So now it's about whether you want to just keep living with what's happened or deal with what's going on. What's going on right now is a revival. And I think people should focus on that to see where this goes, because Saturday's huge.
You said pushing the right buttons now. Was K-State staff not pushing those buttons early on in the season, or were the buttons being pushed? Players just weren't performing, right? Early on in the year, a lot of things that you cannot coach into a guy, such as the effort and want to and celebrating those big plays on the sidelines. That's not something at the end of the day. A coach can get you prepared for it, but Fitz, a lot of those struggles did fall on the players. Now, the coaching staff is not off the hook one bit, because at the end of the day, yeah, this is Chris Klieman's team, of course. But what has happened over the last 4 weeks, that is all coaching, to be able to turn things around. And we are looking at a different team now, right? The NFL, I always say that the best coaches are the best leader of men, right? How often, I don't know if you follow the NFL enough to know that basically every head coach is a coordinator, a DC or an OC that gets bumped up, and they're then a head coach. They're great coordinators, right? Their scheme, and that's why they get the head coaching job. But when you're not forced to be that leader in the locker room as a coordinator, none of those maybe weaknesses get exposed. When you're a head coach at the NFL level, you get ratted out real quick if you can't keep a group in line, right? So Chris Klieman, to his credit, has kept this group in line, not for the entire year, but when things flew south, Chris Klieman was there, and he had his team, bought in. He got his team to buy in.
Yeah.
So, maybe we're not going to win the Big 12. Maybe we won't accomplish the things we had set out to before the year, but there's still 8 games left. And K-State's playing just fine, but you bring up a good point with Saturday with Texas Tech. That's the big one, right? That's the big one. Are you going to get over the hump, or are you going to kind of go regress back to the mean a little bit?
Yeah, and the mean literally will be the mean. This team's on course to go 6-6, and they've got 2 games they can prove something with by winning, and they got 2 games that they can prove. No, they really didn't fix all that much if they lose one of the 2.
Yeah,
particularly Oklahoma State. So they are on course to go 6-6, which can be seen as a victory from where they started. I mean, that means you went 5-3 after that 1-3 start. That's good. But yeah, I mean, if they really want to make a statement that the first portion of the season was the anomaly, they're going to win out. I mean, that's the only way to make that statement. I mean, I guess they could split the Tech and Utah games, but I don't think 7-5 really makes a bold statement either. 8-4 after being 1-3, and that one loss you had was a 1-point loss that honestly wasn't on the players. I think says something. And if Kansas State does that, makes it to the Big 12 title game, it'll be a remarkable story. But I don't think they're going to do that. I just think it's too much. Tech's really good. Utah's really good. And they're both incredibly physical on both sides of the ball, particularly defense. And I'm not sure K-State can match that this season for, whatever reason, the way the team's constructed. But I also didn't see them absolutely dismantling Kansas the way they did. That kind of reset our thoughts about this team, didn't it? I mean, I thought Kansas would win. I thought Kansas was the better team.
Me too.
A more talented team, but they had a capability of playing at a higher level, and then K-State took it to a higher level. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they did a good job, but I think a lot of it was the players, and I think a lot of it now is everyone's on the same page. Next up, this guy really, we're letting him ask questions. Adam K63. Hey, jackass, how you doing, man? Did it maybe take this some time for Matt Wells to get accustomed to calling plays again? Maybe. I'm not going to rule that out. But I do believe Chris Kleiman talked to him about the process, that they need to be more aggressive, that they're being too casual, they're too predictable. And maybe, he's always talked about, Gills, he talks about this need to simplify things and, get everyone on the same page. I don't really notice that they're running simpler schemes. In fact, they seem to be running some more complexities. But whatever they did worked. But I also think Matt Wells has dialed in the last 2 games. I thought at Baylor he was way out of touch. Oh boy, here we go. Was way out of touch, and now suddenly he seems to be really in contact with who his team is and what their best attributes are on offense. Because I thought Saturday was pretty masterful, an offensive showing, even though it wasn't explosive and over the top. They didn't have the ball a lot because they were pretty efficient. It's hard to be upset with the offense right now, isn't it?
I don't understand how every time I go over to your house, Fitz, I think I get 5 minutes at least of dog barking. And we haven't had a dog barking on a show in years. It doesn't make sense to me.
Well, they've learned that they're in the studio to hang out.
They know
someone
that, yeah.
just closed the car door out front, so they think someone's here. And they probably think it's Gills, and they need to attack at all costs.
Daphne thinks that, but
yes, Daphne thinks whoever's coming in the door, even if it's Daddy, is there to murder everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So
this is true, but I with Matt Wells, I don't want to make more out of this than we need to. Right? Kansas State has played better football on the field, and that goes back to what I was saying earlier, just about the players and not only the buy-in, but the execution. These guys are playing so much better. And you can say whatever you want about throwing the ball late against Baylor, right? Or a run up the middle or a conservative play call when you should be aggressive. You can say what you want about those plays. At the end of the day, though, Avery Johnson threw the pick. At the end of the day, you got stopped for 2 yards. At the end of the day, this and that happened. And, it doesn't matter. If you've got the best players in the world, it's not going to matter what your play call is. You're going to go out and just dominate and be better. Now, Kansas State's done that over the last several weeks. Now, play calling, you touched on that, Fitz. How good or bad has it been? You can debate that. I'll listen to you all day long. But at the end of the day, these players are executing, and that is really what has changed so much more than, Avery Johnson's deep balls. The execution on those plays, Fitz. Holy crap. Like the one that was coming, Jace was coming towards the press box on Saturday, the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Jace was, you talk about the definition of in stride. Avery Johnson put that ball on the money. Sometimes the guy has to slow down a little bit or maybe speed up and you have to see him dive. No, Avery Johnson threw a dime, and it's plays like that, you give Matt Wells credit if you want for the scheme and getting a guy open, sure. But at the end of the day, football can just be as simple as guys going out and making plays. And so to put the struggles on Matt Wells early on in the year, I get it. If you want to say Matt Wells has been better as of late, I get it. At the end of the day, sometimes it comes down to guys making plays.
Yeah, the offensive line's been better.
Yes, thank you.
They found a running game.
Yeah.
I think one of the things he changed was he got back to throwing the ball to the tight end, which is a stabilizer for K-State's offense. Their ability to make someone worry about the run. They have been great running the ball, but they're good enough to make you have to adapt to it. And I think that's really helped them quite a bit. Next up, with the Gap is restored Sunflower Showdown win. How long until KU comes in with expectations of winning?
I thought I capitalized KU. Oops. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'll blame technology on that one.
Okay, whatever.
And Sunflower Showdown isn't capitalized either. Ugh.
Oh no, you're
terrible.
I don't know. That's my honest answer because I don't know who the next quarterback is. If it's Ballard, I'm not too worried. I think they'll probably go try to find someone. And that's it's so easy to find the wrong guy in the portal. But when you find the right guy, Houston, it really makes a difference. So I don't know what they have cooking. I want to see if this incredible recruiting effort stays together after the James Dunnigan decommit. I don't know if it'll be an ongoing thing, that others will. He was certainly the cornerstone of the Kansas class for them. But I'm just going to be really honest. I don't pay enough attention to KU in terms of their roster, where they're at in the future. And on top of that, with the transfer portal, I just don't know how good they're going to be in the next 2-3 years or how good K-State will be next year. Are guys still going to hit the portal or now they see a future? We don't know these answers yet. So it's really difficult. But I'll say this, the uphill battle. Hey, this looks like one of those situations where you're fighting to get to the top of the hill and then you're almost there and you slide and you start sliding and all of a sudden you're back down towards the bottom of the hill. Not all the way. It's not all the way down, but boy, you went a long ways backwards. And now you got to find the energy and the dudes to start climbing again. This is going to be one of those situations where it's going to happen when we don't expect it. It's going to happen. Those happen in football. A game just falls in the favor of a team. And usually it falls in the favor of the better team because they know how to take advantage of things. But sometimes the lesser team just gets a lot of breaks and ends up winning a game. And I think that's what's going to be here. This has to be one of the most demoralizing losses among the 17.
Mm-hmm.
They were so convinced to the core that it was over. And I thought it was probably over 2, but I wasn't like laying bets on Kansas. I'm like, well, if I had to pick a winner, I'm picking KU because it's there and Jalen Daniels and Leipold's got him close and all that came unraveled. Now we wonder if the last 2 years were the illusion, not anything else. But I don't see it anytime soon. But again, I think it's going to happen when we don't expect it. It's going to be that K-State win with Jim Oldridge in Allen Fieldhouse that to this day nobody can explain. It's going to be one of those. But I think we're going to get to the 20s. I really do. Because I like what K-State's got at quarterback. Young quarterbacks, including what's coming in. I think there's a future with K-State. Do they have to reset recruiting a little bit and maybe go for a little more home run type players in the portal? Yeah, particularly at running back. But this is a gap that is most spacious because of culture. It just is. The culture here is you win this game. The culture there is you lose this game. And that's just the way it's been. It's going to continue to be that way for a while, I think.
Fitz, you know what I was preaching all throughout every podcast appearance I would do coming up to this game. I kept saying this was the year the bubble was going to burst. And it bursted, right? I've got some games pulled up here. Snyder 2.0 throughout his later years was dominating KU. And then in 2017, won by 10 in Lawrence. 2018, won by 4 in Manhattan. All right. KU was closing the gap, it felt like. Next year, K-State wins by 28. Bubble bursted that year, right? Again, we talked about 2023 and 2024 and how KU was inching closer. This was the year for that bubble to burst one way or another. Now, Fitz, you mentioned it. Me and you were the only guys on the GPC picks that had KU winning. So I wasn't adamant about Kansas State winning this game. I was adamant about Kansas State's either going to blow out the Jayhawks or KU's going to win, right? You can't keep squeaking by this team. Yeah. And we saw the bubble burst. So it's going to get into the 20s without a doubt in my eyes. Just the way that history has gone, you're looking at a couple 2, 3, 4, 5 blowout wins until KU maybe has a game where the Cats are on the ropes. And then that's when you can start looking at maybe the streak ending and that bubble popping like I talk about.
I like bubbles popping. Always did as a kid. Why? I don't know. Yeah, but this bubble was kind of fun to watch pop.
Yeah.
That, you know what? When I've covered a lot of football, and one of my favorite things to see is when a team's winning on the road or in a bowl game or Big 12 championship where nobody expects it, just to watch the energy level of everyone that had it figured out that didn't. Watch the dismay and how the crowd just dissipates and goes away. And I'm going to say this. I'm not privy to the conversation KU facilities had with Kansas State football about here's what happens, security-wise for the post game. That conversation needs to happen. I mean, it just does. But it becomes very clear to me when Chris Kleiman, who doesn't call people out, basically implies there was no doubt. They weren't saying if Kansas wins, it was when Kansas wins. That's the impression they got. You don't insult your opponent in that way, let alone one that's beaten you 16 straight years. I'm just baffled by what were you thinking? Why would you approach a situation in a way that K-State would perceive it as, well, this thing's over. You're going to lose today. You pissed off Chris Kleiman. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
I've done it once and I was right, but I've done it. It's not easy. He's a nice guy. Here we go. Next up. I like pickles. Cat. Lincoln Kier is 6'5", has a 40-inch vertical, runs 22, and seems like he can catch. Is not a significant threat in the passing game. How is that possible? He's still learning. keep this in mind. He was a tight end that was an athlete in high school. He wasn't, I mean, he probably had blocking assignments, but he's blocking Western Kansas 3A players. The step up in physicality required for him to adjust to is enormous. And so physically, he hasn't been completely ready to be the inline tight end that's blocking. They have a little problem, and they've got a lot of depth there. People seem to forget. A couple of guys haven't been what we thought they would be, but they're still pretty good tight ends.
Mm-hmm.
So Lincoln Cure is asked to play receiver. He's not played receiver. He's played some receiver, but not running patterns against athletes who can match you. This is all new to him. And he's progressing. I think he'll get more involved as we go here. But I support Lincoln's choice of skipping spring football to run track and do prom. But this is the trade-off. I mean, again, every decision has some consequences. He's done everything he can to come in and acclimate himself. But that's a lot of acclimating to do in a short period of time. And I think if he'd been here in the spring and gone through spring football and all the strength and conditioning, which was notable this year, he would have rolled right into the fall with a greater understanding of what he was up against. And then he got hurt, guys. It was a knee, a hamstring, whatever it was, it nagged him for a while. And I'm going to be honest here too. I think sometimes kids need to understand, I know in high school you can be hurt and go out and play or just sit down. In college, you got to play hurt. You got to go out and find a way to make it work. So, you miss spring practice and then you miss the early set of, football practices. He's not just going to be gifted time. So I think he's getting there. I think he's earning trust. I think he is a weapon that should be used. And I think he is a matchup problem, which is exactly why you need him right now for games like the one Saturday and the one in Utah in a few weeks. You need the guy that might be a matchup problem for them instead of the other way around. But he just hasn't been in a position to break through. You got to take steps along the way, and he chose not to take some of those steps and delay them. Well, this is the delay. It's not a surprise. It's not a shot at him. It's not saying he's not good enough. It's just he's got more to learn to be ready to play Big 12 football coming from Goodland, Kansas against 3A competition when you're 6'5" and you can run. That's like Gills going to the rec and going playing in the 5 foot and under league. I don't know if they have one. They should. That'd be really enjoyable to watch. Wouldn't that be fun, a 5 foot and under league for guys? That'd
I'm a
great.
competitor, Fitz. I want to go against the best of the best at the K-State rec. Come on.
Okay. Yeah, you talk now then.
Okay. Couple points. Chris Kleiman mentioned on Monday, before UCF, during that first bye week, Kansas State, during the bye week itself, rather, Kansas State did not focus on UCF one bit. It was an extended, I guess, week of fall camp is the way he put it, right? Because when you're playing in Dublin to open up the season, it was shortened, right? I mean, Fitz, we made a big deal out of that whole thing. If you've been watching at GoPowercat, you know about the conditioning and everything that has gone into that. But that is one layer of jumping onto that moving train the way that Lincoln Cure has, arriving late, right? The whole team was struggling because of the shortened camp. How do you think Lincoln Cure felt? Like you said, Fitz, that's not a knock on him. We're just kind of pointing it out. That's the reality of the situation, that things are moving. It's like you're learning a new language. Things are moving 1,000 miles an hour for this young man. Second, this is maybe more prominent with running backs, but whether it's from high school to college or even college to NFL, you have sometimes backs that are never asked to block a day in their life. Like, that's just not for the team that they're on, Lincoln Cure was the star of his team in Goodland, right? He was probably not asked to do maybe some of the little things. He was asked to go out and be the star. And when you come out to different competition, you haven't been trained to do some of these things, such as blocking. And let's be real here, Fitz. Lincoln Cure is more of a wideout than a tight end. That being said, if you want to get on the field more consistently, having some more weapons in your tool bag is not going to hurt you. Being more of a versatile athlete and blocking is not going to hurt your case to get on the field more. And Lincoln Cure was not on the field a lot against KU on Saturday. 9 snaps for Lincoln Cure. Now, I get it. Later in the game, when the contest was decided, I'm sure if this was a tight game, Lincoln might have been on a time or two more. Kansas State's big plays, K-State lost a time of possession battle. I don't think you should apologize for that when you're hitting those big plays and giving the ball back to KU, but that limits your snaps on offense. So there was not maybe
50-some snaps.
Yeah, not a lot of opportunities, but Lincoln Cure at this point in the season, Fitz, what have we said with Dylan Edwards? At least I've said if you get him back, that is an added bonus, but I wouldn't count on him to play at all. With Lincoln Cure, I'd say if you get him to hit a home run play and be an explosive playmaker in the offense, that's great. But at this point, in October 29th, as this podcast is going up, and Lincoln Cure is playing 9 snaps in the game, Fitz, that was his lowest snap count of the whole year. Arizona, the games that he played, right? This was the lowest snap count he's had all year. This was the only one under 10. So for him to, and me and Cole agree to disagree on the boards about this on Wabash, and if Cole was on here, he'd probably give you a different perspective, and that's what makes our staff great, right? We give you maybe differing views and opinions, but in my opinion, right, Lincoln Cure in his true freshman season, this is what he is. Yeah. That's not to say he can't be a superstar going forward. I mean, the guy had 5 stars on his ratings for a reason, but for this year, I wouldn't expect anything more out of him and that's not a problem either. Fitz, Jace Brown's a superstar. You've got playmakers on offense. You don't need Lincoln Cure to be that 5-star guy in his first year in the system.
But it might be a blessing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Because
nothing wrong with it.
He hasn't had a huge performance, but that could be Saturday.
Could be.
It could be.
It's an added bonus if you get it.
Right. Now, the one thing I'd like to see them do now, it might be hard to unwind this, but they've kind of established him as a receiver and not an inline tight end. So when they go to personnel groupings, nobody's counting him as a tight end. You know what I mean? So, if you're going to go with 3 tight ends, they're going to see it as 2 tight ends in Lincoln. So I think it limits some of the ability to then split them out and get a better matchup. But I think I would like to see them dabble with some things like that to see if they can get an advantageous matchup. But against Texas Tech, you're not going to put Lincoln Cure in line and expect him to block these dudes.
No,
he's not ready for that. I'm not sure anyone on K-State's ready for this defensive front. I'm going to be really honest. There's a chance that the line falls apart and Texas Tech absolutely destroys K-State on Saturday. The line is really good. Both lines are good. But defensively, they're SEC. And if you don't hold up to that, then your quarterback's running around for his life the entire day and your offense can't function. But I think if you put them in the right positions, particularly if you put them on the field with Bradley, they have to make a choice. They don't have many big guys to defend these dudes. You got 2 6'5" guys running through their secondary, plus a tight end who's that big. That gets your attention as a defensive coordinator. So we'll see how they use him on Saturday. I still think he's going to have a big game this season. It's just opportunity and things need to align. You got Jace Brown, who's a proven star and proved it again on Saturday, but some games the ball just doesn't end up with him. The play goes somewhere else. It's just not his day in the cycle of how everything's defended and plays out. So we'll see. I'm not down on Lincoln Cure one bit. I just think he is what he is right now, and he's going to get a whole hell of a lot better.
It's a great way to put it. Fitz, do you think he's going to throw a touchdown on Saturday?
I would love it if he got to pass again, as long as he knew when to throw it away. Go State Kate. Kickoff returns during KU. Fumble, return to the 18, return to the 23, return to the 22. Why do we not fair catch the ball? I honestly don't know. I don't know. I'm not opposed to trying to return everyone, but they've had one break for a touchdown and I think 3 fumbles. Is that right? 3 fumbles on kickoff returns?
I think it's only 2.
It's a 2.
Punt. There's been on punts. Kickoffs
Still outnumbers things. So
outweighs it.
if you're breaking kicks, if you're getting them out to the 35, 40, yeah, keep bringing them out. I haven't studied Texas Tech's special teams, but if they're good, just fair catch the damn thing. Set up at the 25 and let's go. These breakdowns on special teams, particularly with opening kickoffs, I think it says a lot about K-State that they just kind of moved on from that, about where they are in the middle space, because earlier in the year they would have pouted until the third quarter. So, but yeah, I agree with you. You know, just mix it in a little bit. Just consider fair catching the ball. They're treating kickoff returns like they're full of swag, that they could break it at any moment. Nobody's scared of your kickoff return unit. You had one break because of bad coverage and good blocking. It all lined up. But nobody's saying, "Ooh, we're really scared." They're hoping, "Hey, we're going to get a turnover." If you go break another one, I'm in on it. But you fumbled the opening kickoff again. Fair catch. Yeah. Gills.
KU got much better field position in this game on its kickoffs because it fair caught the ball. Now, KU could have the worst return game in the country. It doesn't matter if you fair catch the ball. That rule is there. Take advantage of it. Kansas State's maybe isn't the worst, but it's below average, right? And I'm 3 for 5 here, Fitz, on NFL, right? You're seeing more teams in the NFL now go for it on 4th and 2 nearing the red zone, or 4th and 5 at the 10, right? You're seeing these teams do this because settling for 3 points and kicking the ball off with the way that the new kickoff rules are in the NFL, teams are getting better field position, right? The NFL wanted scoring to go up. One of the easier ways to do that was to change those rules. Teams are getting better field position. Better field position matters a lot. If you add that up throughout the course of a game, if you're getting an extra 5 yards on, I don't know, let's say 5 kickoffs, you're almost in field goal range right then and there with just that little hidden yardage that the decisions that you made, right? So, you know, Bryce Nornberg has shown he's capable of popping one, right? You mentioned it, Fitz, but he's also put the ball in harm's way twice, and K-State's been punished for that, right? So I think the best way to answer the question here, of course, Kansas State wants that splash play. That's why Kansas State's trying to return the ball. Of course, that's your answer. But I get the question, of course. I mean, if it's not working, nothing wrong with getting your safe field position by taking a knee or taking that fair catch, Fitz.
Let me just say this. I have no respect for teams that fair catch the kickoff. That means you've not put in the effort to be good at it, and you're just going to take the easy way. But that's where K-State's at right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not good enough at this to not fair catch the kickoffs. I'm sorry. You've kind of earned that. I'm fine with all those fair catches right now.
Yeah.
I think worrying about possession, whether it's catching punts or as we had another ball hit the turf and punts. Special teams had some moments lately, but it still is bad, man. There's some bad fundamentals. Makes me sick to watch, but
I also, Fitz, real quick here, Bryce Nornberg, I mentioned him. Not every play has to be that touchdown. I don't know if that's his mentality or Nate Katzer's mentality or Kleiman's mentality, but sometimes the coverage, the blocking's not going to be great. You're going to have to put your head down and you're going to have to dive and try to get an extra yard or two when things are closing in on you. That's fine. It's not ideal, but that's going to be the reality of the situation sometimes. You don't have to hit the home run on every return. Bryce Norrenberg's fumble against KU, if you go back and watch that, he was not giving up, which to his credit is great, but it wasn't there. You've got to just protect the ball and go down and try to get that extra yard rather than trying to break 5 tackles and get kind of squirrely out there and trying to break one loose. You got to understand when it's just not there.
Agreed. Ready for the 2-minute drill?
You are. I'm not. I have no input on this.
Oh, true. Here we go. How good was the TNT broadcast from Ton 25?
Welcome. I think that's a new member.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Welcome, Ton. It was really good.
We've had 24 Tons on our site. And now
I know a lot of Tons have come and gone. This one's going to stick. It was really good. Now, I'm not a big Mike Golick Jr. guy, but I thought he did a good job. The studio crew was fantastic. That's a big time.
You're still only saying that because you were on the pregame show. That's why.
But I didn't see that. I still haven't seen it because I don't have HBO Max right now. The one channel that we're trying not to pay for. But yeah, well, that was clear play for ratings. To put Kellis, Derek Young, and Fitz, and the new guy Wyatt on screen, they're playing for the female viewers. You know it. They're trying to boost the ratings.
This is the reason Gills wasn't on there.
Exactly. Oh, he's hideous. But I thought it was outstanding. And here's what I like about it the most: the respect of the Big 12. Not this constant backhanded, no, they're not the SEC, but these guys, particularly the ex-players in the studio, really embrace Big 12 football, and they're not Big 12 guys. I mean, they're watching. They're actually paying attention. Now, granted, they're paid to cover the Big 12, so they're going to be nice in some ways, but there's genuine respect there for the product. And, the host taking up for the Big 12, I think is important. Now, it's been pointed out to me that a lot's going on with TNT. I knew TNT was for sale, but I didn't know that there's actual thought that TNT may no longer exist. That doesn't make sense if you're going to buy it to do that. But we don't know if it'll be a sports entity in the future. But if it is, I think they'll be involved with the Big 12, as will possibly CBS. I think the Big 12 has an interesting position to be able to raise their rights fees, but stay more affordable in this marketplace. Better bang for your buck. Because if they're talking about, TNT's losing money on the Big 12 or whatever they're trying to say, imagine if you pay a lot more for something. And part of the problem is people just aren't looking for TNT. And I don't look for the CW for ACC games. But we're getting ready to enter a phase where everything's not going to be centered on ESPN. ESPN doesn't care about the rest of college football. They care about the SEC and the Big Ten games. I am absolutely stunned they're going to a Big 12 game this week. And I think part of the reason why is they're getting called out. They haven't been in a Big 12 game for 2 years now. I find it interesting they're doing Cincinnati at Utah. Seems like that's going to be a good game, don't get me wrong, but doesn't exactly have the pizzazz of some of the other games have had.
If you were a Utah fan coming into the year, I was going to tell you that you'd have game day against Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
That's Big 12 though.
Yeah.
And see what happens is when Vanderbilt's good in the SEC, it's because the SEC is so good and Vanderbilt's amazing. It's this kind of ongoing argument you can never get over. And I appreciate TNT calling out the other networks on this. It's BS. Now, the Big 12 hasn't played up to the standards it should in some games. But the fact they dropped Texas Tech for losing on the road with a backup quarterback, they dropped them 8 spots, is absolutely disgusting.
To last year's champion.
Wasn't just some team. It's crazy. Here's the thing. Here's a good daily delivery for me. If someone's out there and bored, I'd like you to do research on the voters for the AP. I think there's a poll where they put their association, who they cover out there. I'd like to know how many are covering each institution, or each conference. And I imagine that's fairly well split up. But the one thing the SEC still has over everyone else is regionality. Everyone else has sacrificed that at the altar of expansion and realignment. They are a proud conference that covers the southeastern portion of the United States. And I don't think that'll change if the next round of expansion happens. I think they're solely focused on being in connecting states. And I think that Southern pride ends up influencing voters too. I really believe that the SEC voters are prone to bias more than any other conference. They have been absolutely inundated with this superiority complex that has not been reflected in the playoff the last 2 years. May I remind you that everything the SEC does is so much better than everyone else, and the reality is it's not. Are some of the teams in the SEC better than most? Absolutely. Is maybe the SEC a little bit deeper this year than it has been the past? Yeah, probably. But I also want to remind you that Kansas team that K-State just spanked kind of went toe-to-toe with Missouri. And now all of a sudden Missouri losing at Vanderbilt is this incredible win for Vanderbilt. It's this self-fulfilling prophecy that happens over and over. We got to rank them high. Oh, you lost to them. They're ranked high. That means you got to be ranked high. Oh, you lost? Well, you're ranked high. The team that you lost to is now going to be ranked high. This is how they keep feeding it. And I think this is about the voters. I think the poll is poisoned, and it'll never be fixed because of the bias for the SEC. And now ESPN is rewarding that by just feeding this nonsense constantly. That it? You got nothing?
I was going to add that TNT might have done a great job, but they were missing at least one camera angle. That's all I got to say.
Yes, I meant to mention that. Could we get a goal line cam? Here's the thing. Let's say they call that a fumble. K-State takes the ball, it gets it at the 20. Does the game go the same way? I mean, we all just sit here and say, well, they would have had 7 points less. But not having to respond to a touchdown, does that change the complexity, the mental approach by K-State? I don't want to undo anything. They got a touchdown. Like, let them have some candy. The suck on. Sorry, I got graphic at the end, and I apologize for my behavior. Gills, you got anything else?
I love you.
Thank you. We will see you soon. We got the regular stuff coming up. Going to be a very interesting pregame show, the walkthrough, and we might just throw in another pod or something.
Or two.
We got some stuff. You guys ask some good questions. You ask good questions, you get more pods. We'll keep you informed on that. We might just go do that. Maybe soon. I don't know.
This has been a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. Please support this show by subscribing to this YouTube channel or follow us on your favorite podcast platform.